All right, YouTube, there's the Big John here again, Musings of the RPG Game Master. Just want to say, second review today. Second. I know it's crazy. I'm doing this one on my cell phone. I think the camera's a little bit better. My laptop is pretty awesome. It's a Star Wars laptop by HP. It's an Inspiron or Inspiron, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty solid. I just am not feeling it for some reason. And this camera's sitting way too high. There we go. It's a little better. So sorry I'm looking down. I got something up on my screen here. I know. There we go. So today we're going to be taking a look at Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition by WotC, or Wizards of the Coast, which, if you don't know by now, is owned by Hasbro. What can I say? This is the grandfather. It's the granddaddy. It's the big kahuna. It's the game that started it all many years ago. So is it good? Is it worth buying if you don't already own it? What do you think? I don't know. Hopefully we'll find out. All right, you and I together on a journey. I have pretty much everything they've released for it. I don't have, I think, Out of the Abyss or the other one. I do have Horde of the Dragon Queen. And we'll go into those a little bit later. First, what you need to play. Obviously, you need polyhedral dice, those funny looking dice. Hopefully everybody knows what they are and has access to them. Wherever you bought this, you can probably buy those dice. Man, I got some gray, man. Woo, getting old. Anyway, this is what you need. This is to start off if you're a player. This is everything you need. This is how to create your character. Full hardback book. I got to say... let's see, 317 pages. That includes the character sheet. Hardback, full color, nice paper. Bang for the buck? No, I'm sorry. $50 for 317 pages for $50. The book is gorgeous. There's no doubt about it. It's a good looking book. But I think it's overpriced. I really do. You can go online and you can download the basic contents, or what they call the SRD, or the Systems Reference Document, on WotC's website. And it basically gives you everything that's in here without the pretty pictures. It's updated quite a bit, so as they make changes, when they find out rules aren't working or they're just not right, those rules are put in here and are updated appropriately. So... it's probably a better bang for the buck because all you got to do is print it, and you can always print revisions as you need it. Print just the page you need, whereas this, you got to buy a whole new book. And I don't know if they're revising the books as they go along when they run out of a print run or not. I don't know. I don't think they are, but I haven't heard otherwise. Aside from my personal opinion that it is overpriced, I think all of their products are overpriced for what you get. That's not to say that they're not gorgeous books, that the art is not fantastic. It is. Please don't get me wrong. I think it's a gorgeous book. I just think that there's other companies out there putting out just as big of books for half the price, or 3/4 of the price. My perfect price point for this book would have been $40, at max $45. I'm lucky enough to say that the game store in Sulphur that I go to gives me a pretty decent discount, and so I don't typically pay full price for the most part, but sometimes I do. It just depends on how the owner's feeling. The flip side is there's Amazon. Amazon Prime is your friend when it comes to role-playing games. If you don't need it right away, and you don't need it as soon as it comes out, Amazon Prime is awesome, because then all their Prime sellers will be out there trying to undersell everybody else, and of course it's a consumer's market, so you can get a good deal. I think I got this one actually on Amazon Prime, and I believe I paid right at $30, and that included shipping free, because I bought it as soon as it came out. And so Amazon Prime was doing a killer deal because they knew they were going to sell a ton of them, and I'm sure they did. But anyway, aside from that, we know how I feel. It's a great game. There's no doubt about it. It's great for entry level. It's got a little bit of math in it. It's got number crunching. It's got some crunch, but they've made it streamlined. They've made it easier to play. This is great. I've been at conventions where I've seen 6-year-olds playing it. So it's doable. It's a fun game, and it's the granddad of all. I think it's the one to get your family and your friends and your homies and your pals to play, and at least try it. This is where everything else came from. This is the roots of this fine tree that we call role-playing games. And you don't get a much stronger foundation than this. And so if you learn to play this, you're rocking. Every other game is going to pretty much fall into place. There's other games that are points based as opposed to randomized and whatever. And this gives you kind of some of those rules as well. So again, it's a great base. You got that gamer friend in your life, or that console gamer that you want to get out from in front of the TV. Throw a copy of this at them and let them read it, and pretty sure it's going to capture their imagination and it's going to get them going. It's a good book, full color art, like I said, hardback. It's solid. So that's what you need as a player. If you're going to be a player, you got to have these. And I recommend, aside from downloading the SRD copy, every player should have a copy of this, so that you're not, in the middle of the game, oh, hold on, you got to borrow somebody's book. Everybody should have a copy. Granted, it's $50. I understand it's steep, but you can get it cheaper from online retailers. All right, so enough of the player's hand guide. Next, someone's got to be the dungeon master, the game master. Someone's got to do it. It's always me in my group. That's okay. You need the DMG. You can run the game without the DMG, but this is probably one of their better books in the line. It's very well written. It's, again, same high quality. Again, 317 pages for $50, $49.95. Again, find it cheaper online. Sometimes your local game store guy will give you a discount. Barnes & Nobles has them. If you're a member, you can get a little bit of a discount. So there's no reason to pay $50 for any of these books. You should be able to get them cheaper online or through your favorite local game store, or bookouts, Amazon store or Barnes & Nobles or your favorite local bookstore. So you need this. This is going to give you all the the GM information. I often refer to the GM as the God modifier, because you control everything outside of what the player characters control. And that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's also really rewarding, and it's a lot of fun. And the best advice I can give a burgeoning GM is prepare. Your players are going to go off rails. They're going to do the most obtruse, minute, shiny thing in the room that you would never think of. They will go focus on it. It's like herding cats, and we all know how that goes. So be prepared to wing it, to ad lib, to improvise. And this is there's a bunch of useful charts in here to create a dungeon. If you're not creative, there's a beginning dungeon to start you off, to kind of give you an idea of where you're going. If you don't have it, go ahead and buy the, I think it's the Mines of Phandelver, the introductory box set, because that's going to give you a full intro adventure, a set of dice if you don't have them. And I think it's like $20. So it's like crack, the first try is free. And then after that, it gets really expensive. But that's a great introductory set that will get you started as a GM. And then when you have time, you can go buy this. So after this, you say, geez, John, I've already dropped $100. What else do I need? Well, you really don't need anything else. You can wing it with just those two books, or one book if you're going to be a player and or GM. But if you're going to be a GM, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm a sucker for GM screens. I love GM screens, especially the pretty ones. WotC's got this one right here. It's a 4-panel. It's pretty big. It's quite large. The art, of course, is phenomenal. It is what you would expect. It's pretty hard. It's not as thick as some of them, but it's not flimsy either. It's pretty solid. I believe this was like $20 or $25. I don't remember. I bought it when it first came out. It came with a little pamphlet, if I remember correctly, with some basic information in it. I think it might have just been the GM screen. I don't remember. But go on WotC's website or Amazon or Barnes & Nobles and check it out. My problem with this is I don't think you need it. I think there's enough free information on the internet, and with the do-it-yourselfers out there and 3-ring binders, you can make a viable GM screen, and you don't need to waste your money on this. And the reason I say that is because if you're going to be the GM, you already are the creative sort. You may not know it yet, but you are, because it takes a certain amount of oomph to be a GM. And if you're stepping into those shoes, you already got the guts to do it. And that's the hardest part. GMing is way harder than being a player any day of the week and twice on Sunday. So if you're willing to step forward and don that mantle, you're on it, and you've made the right choice. But you don't need to buy a GM screen that doesn't give you what you need. I say go on the internet and make one yourself. There's plenty of pages you can download. I've seen some that are done with CD jewel cases from DVDs or CDs, little mini GM screens, which I think are phenomenal. I think that's very creative, and kudos. Sorry, I'm moving the screen here. What I dislike about this GM screen is I just panned it across the screen there. There's a lot of wasted real estate. I don't need art. I said this in my Fantasy Age review. I don't need art on the inside of the GM screen. I know what my world looks like. I know what the creatures and Dizians look like. And I don't need it. And to me, it's a waste and shows a lack of creativity on WotC's part. Putting stuff in here like NPC flaws and a name generator, waste of space. Give me some solid rules. Give me, cover rules and equipment charts, and damage charts. Give me stuff that's useful. I will say the conditions chart that's in the center part of the screen is very good. That's very helpful. But the cover information, it's not used that often. Travel packs, something happens. These are all generic things that as a GM, I can pull up on my laptop or my cell phone, or I can have a little PDF printed, a sheet of paper, and have it on the side, and I can refer to it as I need to. Push comes to shove, I can have a little paper clip and I can just hang it off one corner on my GM screen and have it there when I need it. I don't need a full page of the GM screen devoted to it. So this is a pass. I mean, I bought it because I was gung-ho and I was excited. I did not know what was inside of it. I'll tell you right now, if I'd have known what was on the inside of it, I would have never bought it. It's $20, $30 that I could have saved myself and bought something I really wanted. So get it if you're a completionist, or get it if you think it's going to help you. But look at some reviews. There's some better reviews out there, better than mine, because I'm not good at this. I just kind of do it for fun. That'll show you the actual contents of the inside of this screen. I don't think it's worth it. That's just my opinion. So next, you're going to be the game master. You need monsters. You need adversaries. Again, $49.95. I want to say probably 317 pages, maybe a little more. 351 pages at $50. Again, I feel it's too expensive, but we've covered that. Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, your favorite local game store, get a discount. Don't pay full retail. That being said, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous book. Full page illustrations. The write-up they do on the dragons is phenomenal. They give you all the dragons. I mean, there's an ancient bronze dragon. The art is phenomenal. The paper that they use it's a heavier paper. It feels slightly like coated with something. I'm not a production quality person. I don't know what they use, but the ink doesn't smear. It's really well done, and they've gone for what all their other books. They have a flat matte side, and then the glossy side that wraps around to the front of the book, which is also glossy. So again, phenomenal book. If you're going to be a GM, if you're going to be anybody who's going to deal with monsters in any way, shape, or form, like a druid or a ranger, favorite enemy, wild shape, this is good to have because it's got information. Again though, SRD is online. You can get this fully free. You just don't get all the pretty pictures. And let's face it, part of our hobby is the visualization of it. And that's just an awesome cover. I don't care what anybody says. That's a phenomenal cover. That beholder is just about to wreck stuff, if you know what I mean. So, really good, really worth it. The next thing for GM and even the players, Sword Coast Adventure Guide. This is their default setting. Of the Sword Coast. This has got Baldur's Gate and all those places in it. I can't, and of course I'm drawing a blank on all the areas. Of for it. Oh, here we go. High Moor, the Troll Bark Forest, the Troll Claws, Baldur's Gate, just a whole bunch of stuff. The Star Mounts, the High Forest. I mean, everything you need in here. Neverwinter. I mean, it's all Forgotten Realms. This is an awesome book. It is, again, printed in that same quality. 154 pages for $40. Again, overpriced. I don't care how good the content is. It's not worth $40 for 100 and something pages. It's just, to me, it's overproduction. You know, I mean, you got staff artists that are making this art. It doesn't justify the cost of the book. Again, find it cheaper online. I'll leave it at that. But if you're going to be a GM or you're going to be a player and you're playing in the Forgotten Realms and you're going to be playing in Neverwinter, Baldur's Gate, any of those areas, or in that whole Sword Coast area, great fluff book. If you've never read the novels, if you've never read any previous editions of D&D and their areas, this is a great resource. There's not very much crunch in here. This is mostly fluff, and that is awesome. It's really well written. I like it a lot. I didn't find too many spelling errors or anything that I went, what? I mean, which, no, I hate to say it, Out of the Abyss and the Hoard of the Dragon Queen, the challenge ratings on monsters were wrong. They refer to monsters that aren't even in the book, that aren't even, in the player's guide or the monster manual, and there's typos galore, and it's just poorly written. I don't know who edited it, but they did a horrible job. I'm not one to speak because I can't edit worth a crap, but I try my best, and I know basic grammar, and I do try to follow it when I'm writing something professionally, like at work or whatever. And then I always get someone else to read it to make sure it sounds right. So this one seems to have been done a little bit better. I think this one was produced in-house. I think some of the other books were produced out of house, and they used other sources. So it's the granddaddy of all games. Give it a try. Again, you don't really have to spend any money. You can get the SRD. You can get the Dungeon Master's Guide for free online on WotC's website, and you can go nuts with it, and you can read it and see if it's something you like. You fully make a viable character out of that book. There are some more options and stuff that are in the Player's Guide that are not in the SRD, but for the most part, it's pretty solid, and it's free. You can download it, print it, put it in a binder, spiral bind it, have your own homemade Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide, and you can put cool covers on it. In fact, I've even seen a couple people have done like PDF outlays for covers for the generic SRDs, and either put them in a binder or spiral bound them, like I do a lot of my books when I buy them as a PDF. So a great resource. It's very cool of WotC to put it out there as an SRD and make it freely available, and also to allow other publishers and writers and vendors to create content for it under the OGL for 5th edition, which is phenomenal because there are some companies out there doing some amazing stuff. Green Ronin is a big one. They do a lot of stuff for 5th edition. Goodman Games, I did one of my very first podcasts was the GM screen for Goodman Games, and is it worth it, and how they support their GMs. And of course, Dungeon Crawl Classic takes its roots from the earliest edition of D&D. So, they pay homage where homage is due, as the old saying goes, and they do a great job, and they produce a lot of 5e content. And, just like there was back in the days of 3.5 or 3.0, there's a ton of content out there. You just got to look for it. The DM's Guild on DriveThruRPG or RPGnow.com. Phenomenal resources. Pay what you want for some of their stuff. It's great for GMs. I've used a little bit of it, and I've enjoyed it immensely of what I've downloaded. It's like $1, $2, maybe $3. Some of the stuff might be a little bit more, but I haven't looked at any of it. There's a lot of free stuff too, so you can there's options out there for content and things like that you want and or need. So overall, it's the granddaddy of the gaming system, and it's worth it to own it if you're that type of person like me. I gotta have a physical book. PDFs are nice. I need a book, and I'm glad I have those. I'm actually going to be running a 5th edition game for some local people here in Beaumont, and I'm pretty excited about that. So I've been reading up. So I thought I'd do a quick review. We're coming up on the 20-minute mark. I didn't want to spend a lot of time talking about it because it's D&D. Everybody knows about it. It's a good game. It's definitely one to get your feet wet with, and the mechanics are not terribly difficult. They're not super easy. They're not as easy as, say, Savage Worlds or the Age system from Green Ronin, which I just did a review of earlier this morning. But it's pretty easy. I mean, it's pretty simple to get your head wrapped around it and run it. Whether you're going to be a player or a GM, you get one of those books and you get yourself some polyhedral dice if you don't already own them, and you're good to go. One more thing, I forgot. They also have their Dungeons and Dragons Adventure League. That is where you can go to conventions. Gen Con is coming up. I think Gen Con's next weekend or the weekend after. There's going to be a ton of events for what they call the AL, the Adventure League. Your local conventions will probably have people running games, and it's a great way to get in. You just go to WotC's website, you register, you'll get a number, and then you bring that number with you to the conventions. They'll have characters there for you, or they'll even help you roll your own if you're new to it and you want to get in. It's a great way to get started, and then you play these set adventures that have a time frame. And you do those adventures, you get certain loot and everything. Everybody at the table walks away a winner. The adventures are not out to kill you, not to say that you're invincible. Bad decisions are going to be bad decisions. There's nothing the GM can do about that. But they try to promote the game and the hobby in a positive way, so they're not going to be right out to kill you. So it's a great way to get in. It's called the Adventure League. Again, you can go to their website. They have a store locator on their website that'll point you to your local store or the closest store in your area that will be hosting those events, and you can play. So it's a great way to get into the hobby and learn more about it. And it's free. It's completely free. All you got to do is, if it's at a convention, you just have to get into the convention. If you're fortunate enough to live in the Gen Con area and you can make it, I would say go. At least for one day, and have yourself a blast. I think that's about it. As always, like and subscribe helps me out a lot. I really appreciate it. If you find the video useful or helpful, click a like. If not, hey, constructive criticism is always welcome. Trolls are not welcomed. I will delete you. I won't even blink, and I won't miss you, and I'm sure you won't miss me. So there's no need to be ugly. We have enough of that in the world. Just watch the news. But hopefully that gives you a little information on D&D. There's a lot of videos out there on how to play or the mechanics. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to hopefully make something a little more informational, and just for that person who's sitting on the fence and doesn't know if they want to buy the game, if they want to sink that much money into it. Hopefully I've given you a little light to make an educated decision, and or if you've got a friend who doesn't know or whatever, you can point them this way, and hey, it helps you out, helps me out, and hey, we all win. So as always, peace, love, and happiness, and be good to one another.